already?
Firstly, for me, we had a fantastic welcome here in South Africa, and it's great for the All Blacks to be back. It's a fantastic series ahead. All Blacks playing over here is always a massive highlight for us as a team, as a country, and for this challenge, I think for us right now, it's fantastic. Starting a rugby championship where, excuse me, lost my voice this morning. Starting a rugby championship this where I think it's a big one for the Southern Hemisphere countries. You know, I think we've had a July series that clearly we didn't get what we want against Ireland. We've had England do well in Australia. We've had Argentina win a close series against Scotland, and we've had South Africa lost their first time ever to Wales in their own country. So we've all got some points to prove, and I think for the Southern Hemisphere this Rugby Championship's a key one for us. So can't wait to get into it. Questions?
Can I ask you, first of all, Young from ENCA News, I believe you guys are off there yesterday and you went to the Kruger National Park, and I'm told by one of my colleagues there's no Springboks in the Kruger National Park. Is that not strange to you?
I didn't go to the Kruger, to be fair, but the boys loved it. You know, it's a beautiful part of the world, and part of touring is actually making sure you get out there and experience different cultures. But no, we didn't see any Springboks there. So there's plenty of other animals though. It's a pretty special place.
In Sam Staley's selection of hooker, that's clearly the kind of big move you made. What went into that, and what's kind of the thinking of giving him this crack to start?
Oh, he's playing well. He's done what we've asked him to do off the bench. We've been really pleased with his growth. He's uncomplicated. You know, we don't believe he gets overawed in big occasions. You know, if he makes a mistake, he moves on quick. But you know, he's been a big mover, I think, the last 12 months, and pretty excited about giving him that jersey.
Physicality aspect, is that kind of, you know, do you charge him with bringing that?
Yeah, it's not just his only. That's not his only purpose, to be honest, Mark. But it is certainly it's a key strength of his.
Ian, what about the decision to use Dane on the bench instead of Cody, who's obviously been a go-to for the 3 tests so far?
Yeah, again, it's got 3 good hookers. We felt for this test this is the right one. You know, Dane's brings a lot of experience as well, as does Cody, but you know, Dane's got an energy about him at the moment, and we just feel again that his experience in that latter part of the game is going to be key.
What about the lock loose forward makeup with Brody being missing, and I guess you could have used Scott Barrett on the blind side and put Shannon Brazil on the bench for Dalton Papali'i, just that whole scenario?
I think you've explained it pretty well, to be fair. I'm not being smart, but what the question is...
What was the thinking?
Okay, so... Well, you know, obviously Brody not here. You know, we've clearly made a few changes. We've got Offa, Nepo and Brody not here. So I just felt that the combination work, if you look at Angus and Samisoni, there's a bit of combination there. The 2 locks, there's a bit of combination there with Scooter and Sammy Whitelock and that. And when we had a good look at where Akira was, we liked Akira's growth last year, and you know, he had a bad foot in that Irish series, came right for that 3rd test, and actually felt he did some really good things in there. There's some areas to improve, but again, another big opportunity for him, you know, and he's a big physical man, but he's going to need to be.
In terms of the coaching changes, how's Jason Ryan bedded in, and yourself picking up the attacking brief? What's that been like?
It's been good. You know, it's been a change made for a reason, and change is never comfortable, but you know, the objective we felt was the right change for the team, and you know, the first week it's a few new voices. It's been I think the week's gone well, but you know, it's so overall delighted with the response. I think Jason's fitted in extremely well. He's got an existing relationship with some of the players, but you know, he's had a pretty narrow focus, but he's gone about his work well.
Can you give us any insight into what you've looked to bring to the attack without giving away your game plan?
No, not really. It's just you'd probably just write it up as just an old voice saying the same old stuff, Liam. No, no, we're just looking at growing. Look, it's the start of a year, and you know, much is made of the last series. But you know, we were in the process of putting blocks in place in that series. Did we get everything right? No, we didn't. But still got a lot of faith in the areas that we want to grow our game. And you know, there are definitely some tweaks in the attack area that we are working on. But some of them are just highlighting some focus points within our game that I just don't think we got right in the last series. And so it's not a matter of bringing in 10 new things. It's probably a matter of bringing a couple in and then maybe honing 2 or 3 things that we wanted to do anyway but didn't do that well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In the 2017 press conference ahead of the Albany test, I remember Steve Hansen using the word angst, where the All Blacks had played reasonably well but not as well as they should have. Do you feel that there's a bit of angst again with the kind of results that the All Blacks had leading into this particular test match?
Oh, I wouldn't use the word angst, no. I think it's, you know, we don't like losing, just like everyone. And so that always creates an edge in the group and creates a lot of reflection from, you know, particularly our players. They're reflecting on their own roles and their own performances and how we can grow. So I'd certainly use the word reflection, and it certainly has created an edge in the week, there's no doubt. And then you dovetail that with where we are and who we're playing against. It's quite a great concoction there, isn't it? So it's a really clear challenge for us. We're excited by it. We want to play better, but we also know that we've probably never been a great July team, and it's the start of our year, just like it is for the South Africans, and both them and us, I guess, will be looking to improve on what they've shown in the first 3 tests.
Coach, it's often said of the Springboks that they're a one-trick pony, but it's a very good trick. Do you think it's all about manning up in the forwards? Because I guess if they see by the narrative, they'll just go harder to cut him off. But is it all about the forwards manning up this weekend?
Look, it's about the team manning up, but you don't look. They're definitely not a one-trick pony. I mean, that's just a fallacy. But what they do well, they do really well, and we know that. And you don't become world champions if you're not proficient at a whole lot of areas. So, you know, we're clear about what, you know. They're a good team, we're a great team, and they play well. We know that, but it's about us not getting too hung up on that either, and making sure that we go in with a mindset to play our game. And you know, like I said, it's, you know, there's an edge. We know we can play better, but you don't do that by worrying about who you're playing against. You do that by really honing down and getting excited about playing how we want to play. So manning up, we'll always man up. That's not the issue. You've got to be smart, and you've got to be physical, and you've got to have a pretty good combination of both.
On the All Blacks, and rightly so. Usually when the All Blacks travel to, whether it's home or any other country, you guys, especially by fans, would always be the favourites. Do you think you guys are the favourites heading into this match at Bombeana Stadium this coming Saturday?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. It's to be fair, you know, you know, it's a sign of the times. You don't get out, and you're not in the community all the time now in these COVID days, so you're a little bit more sheltered. But I'm pretty sure when we go to the stadium, there won't be 46,000 South Africans cheering for us. So I'm assuming that they got 2 home games. There's a bit of pressure on them with home games, but that's the way the draw is. And but you know, quite frankly, when it's us, South Africa, I don't really care where the game's been played. You know, we've got a massive respect for each other, I think, and we know that you've got to be at your best to do well in it.
And you saw 2 sort of quite different structures from the Springboks last year in the 2 games. You know, going from passing the ball lots from open play to kicking. Which of those sort of strategies do you think presents a more formidable sort of challenge for you guys?
I don't see 2 strategies, to be honest. I see one strategy that they want to play you in a number of different ways, and it's not like they'll play one strategy for the whole game. Like that's they'll have 2 or 3 variations about how they want to play, and so we know that they'll try to play us wide off certain types of setups. We know they'll try to play us aerial, and they'll try and play through us. So that's what happens when you play great teams, and that's the key, is not going and over exaggerating one facet of the game. You've got to knock back, because then they'll move to another, and hopefully that's what we've got to get good at too. You know, we've got to get good at you know, if they nullify in a certain area, we've got to make sure that we're smart enough to switch our game. So that's all part of it, you know, and you do that by growing confidence and growing understanding of our own game, and that's really been one of our main focuses this week.
You know, how good to have Caleb back, and you know, at this point of a kind of a frustrating time between last year into this year, what can you expect from him in a big game like this?
Well, look, it's great having him back. You know, there's no doubt there's a few niggles that kept a few people out in July, and he's one. Shannon Frizzell's another. Probably Akira a little bit the other. But in Caleb's case, it's, you know, he's got a hamstring. He's an absolute fidget. He can't keep still. He's always dancing or bouncing or doing something, which is probably not the best sort of personality to deal with a hamstring. So we've sort of put a leash down, tied him on the ground and told him to sit still for a while. But he's ready to go. He's feeling good. He's infectious, but you know, he hasn't played international rugby for a long time, you know, and through, you know, the way that the decisions that were made with him last year meant he basically sat in hotels and did nothing for about 4 months. So, you know, the key thing for him is just to come back and put a smile on his face and let him be himself. But, you know, he's a quality winger. He loves. We need to get the ball in his hands, and we need to get him involved. And if that happens, then there'll be a few more good moments and bad ones, I think.
Ian, obviously as a coach, you would want to focus on your own team and what you guys have to prepare for this match. What do you make of the changes? Jacques Nienaber back to his side, Faf coming back, Malcolm Moss playing his 50th, and what do you know about this newcomer, Curtly Arnott on the wing, perhaps?
Not a lot, really. You know, but in terms of the changes, I don't think Faf coming back in is a change. You know, we've always planned that. He's an outstanding 9, and he's a big part of their game. So we've always seen that, you know, and with Mark starting instead of coming off the bench, that's probably, you know, it's not that much of a significant difference. You know, you still got to deal with them at some point, don't you? So, but what I do know is that they've got a formula. They're basically keeping that same group that they've had for the last 4 or 5 years. They're clearly trying to keep that group right through to a World Cup, and banking on they can make it that far, and they trust that formula. So when you change 1 or 2 people in it, it's not going to make that significant difference. You know, we know whoever's out there is going to have a great game and play well, and the nice thing is that we've got to be at our best to deal with that.
Take one more go, Coach. There have been some comments that New Zealand is perhaps suffering in some way from not playing South Africa in Super Rugby. What is your view on that? Because, you know, it's often said that the South Africans play with an intensity, you know, very heavy intensity. And how do you, I suppose, and the opposite is also true. So do you think that creates a different dynamic in this test, or could it be more difficult? Or?
Yeah, well, there's a whole lot of political questions, that one. It's personally, do I miss playing South Africa? Yes, I do. I think it's great for us. I loved it in Super Rugby. Like I keep coming back to the fact there's different styles, but great rivalry, intensity. They're all things that you want to have to hone your players to become better and better. So, you know, clearly COVID has changed a heck of a lot the last 2 or 3 years, hasn't it? And countries have made different decisions. But, you know, what I will say categorically is I just think it's vital for New Zealand and rugby and South Africa to stay tight in their rugby relationship. And it's, you know, there's so much legacy and history in this relationship that we just got to make sure we keep it strong. And I guess our jobs as coaches and players is make sure we go out there and do that legacy proud with the way both teams play.
Thanks so much, everyone. I've just got to grab pause to jump on.